All right, welcome to this explainer. If you've just stepped into a leadership role, or, maybe you're just about to, you are entering a seriously critical window. I've personally coached countless brilliant top performers who absolutely stumble in this exact transition. So today, we're going to navigate your crucial first year by focusing on the two most common traps that literally almost every new manager falls into. Let's get right into it. So, what will you become? A tyrant or a mailman? I know it sounds a little intense, but this right here is the fundamental question you've got to ask yourself. And why is that? Because the reality of stepping into management is that almost every single first-time leader naturally drifts toward one of these two extremes. You're either going to become a tyrant or you're going to become a mailman. Understanding exactly why this drift happens, and more importantly, catching yourself before you get there, is hands down the most important work you'll do this year. Which brings us to our first core concept, the new manager identity shift. Think about it. Stepping up to manage the exact same team you were just peers with yesterday, that fundamentally shifts your identity. The dynamics, the expectations, even those casual water cooler conversations, they all change literally overnight. And because that shift is so genuinely disorienting, new managers naturally have one of two emotional reactions. It's a tug-of-war between overconfidence and ego on one side versus imposter syndrome and doubt on the other. You might react with an inflated ego, thinking, hey, out of everyone in the peer group, I was chosen for a reason. Or, on the flip side, you might be hit with this crippling imposter syndrome, quietly wondering if you're actually a complete fraud. Both of these reactions are totally normal, but listen to me, both are incredibly dangerous if you leave them unchecked. Let's dive into that first danger zone. Failure mode number 1, the tyrant. This first trap happens when you walk away from your promotion totally convinced that you were chosen simply because you're smarter and more capable than everyone else in the room. The tyrant essentially conflates getting promoted with being infallible. They start to actually believe their judgment is inherently superior, and so they just demand unquestioning execution. They literally stop listening. They completely dismiss any input that doesn't perfectly align with their own gut instinct. And the result? Well, they create this environment where pushing back is utterly futile. They end up treating incredibly talented people as mere executors of their own ego. Your team quickly learns to just shut up, do what they're told, and say exactly what the boss wants to hear. And the long-term cost of that behavior? It's severe. Sure, a tyrant might hit their quarterly targets through sheer force of authority. I mean, the corporate world is full of those guys, right? But you will completely destroy your ability to build something that actually lasts. Tyrants kill innovation, period. Because true innovation requires a safe space to challenge the boss's assumptions. Even worse, you build a toxic brand for yourself. Word travels incredibly fast across a company, and you will inevitably drive away the exact top talent you so desperately need when a real crisis hits. Now let's flip the coin and look at failure mode number 2, the mailman. This trap is a bit less dramatic on the surface, but I promise you it is equally corrosive to your success. The mailman is entirely driven by low confidence. They honestly believe the promotion was just luck, or maybe just good timing. And because they don't think they actually earned the spot, they try to play it completely safe. They avoid making hard decisions, they don't set a clear direction, they add absolutely zero personal perspective to the problems at hand. Instead, they act as a literal mailman, just passing messages from the team up to senior leadership and relaying instructions right back down. They never actually advocate for their team, which leaves their people feeling totally unsupported and unprotected. This triggers a vicious, self-reinforcing downward spiral. First, it starts with doubting you even deserve the role, which then leads you to refuse to actually lead or make real decisions. Because of that leadership vacuum, your team quickly becomes incredibly frustrated by the total lack of direction. And here's the hard truth of it. Senior leadership will figure this out very quickly and just start bypassing you. They'll go straight to your team members for answers, your team will go around you to actually get things done, and eventually you just become entirely invisible, right up until the day you are inevitably managed out of the role. So how do we fix this? Let's talk about the actual truth about your promotion. If we want to avoid these two extremes, I need to give you some practical, tough love right now. Let this sink in for a second. You earned it. You were not promoted by accident. Your management saw something very real that distinguished you from your peers. Maybe you demonstrated way better collaboration, or maybe you took stronger ownership of highly ambiguous problems, or you just delivered wildly consistent performance. Whatever it was, on balance, you were the best available choice. Step 1 to being a great leader is actually believing that fact. But, and this is a massive but, becoming their manager did not make you omniscient. It made you responsible. Being the best choice does not mean your team's ideas are now somehow inferior to yours. They have deeply specialized skills, completely distinct experiences, and critical perspectives that you simply don't have. Your promotion didn't magically grant you all-knowing wisdom. It simply means it is now your absolute job to guide their collective expertise and to own the final outcomes. That leads us right into finding the middle ground. Your ultimate goal as a leader is finding that incredibly narrow path right between the ego of the tyrant and the invisibility of the mailman. So here is your playbook to do exactly that. To win, you must have a clear point of view and make definitive decisions. You've got to hold your team accountable. That is fundamentally what leadership is. But you have to do all of this while remaining totally open to the very real possibility that someone on your team has a much better idea than you do. Listen before you decide, not after. Ask questions from a place of genuine curiosity, and please treat pushback as incredibly useful data, not insubordination. The final decision is always yours, but it will be vastly improved if your team actually feels safe enough to tell you what they really think.
To help with this, I want to introduce the weekly 2-question diagnostic.
To keep you from drifting back into those old habits, I want you to run a ruthless test on yourself every single Friday afternoon. Question number 1. Did I make at least one decision this week that my team could not have made without me? Be completely honest here. Look at your calendar, look at your sent emails. If the answer is consistently no week after week, you are drifting straight into mailman territory. You're failing to add distinct leadership value, and your team is essentially operating completely without you. And question number 2. Did I change my mind about something this week because someone on my team made a compelling case? Think back on all the debates and discussions you've just had over the last few days. If you find that you've literally never changed your mind and your ideas are always the ones that somehow mysteriously went out, well, red alert, you are turning into a tyrant. You've stopped listening and you are starting to shut down your top talent. The mindset of every truly great manager I've ever coached always comes down to exactly this. Be confident enough to lead, but secure enough to be wrong. You don't need to win every argument. You certainly don't need to originate every single good idea. Your core job isn't to be the smartest person in the room. It's to ensure the room produces the absolute smartest outcomes. And you do that by earning authority every single day and using it wisely. So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to be brutally honest with yourself. Which side are you naturally drifting toward right now? Is it the tyrant or the mailman? Recognizing your own natural default setting is really the only way to course correct before the damage is done. So take these 2 diagnostics, apply them tomorrow morning, and ask yourself the ultimate question. Are you truly leading your team, or are you just getting in their way?